Sissies, we got a hot interview coming to you today.
With a hot British bird.
From across the pond. Y'all, remember Too Hot to Handle? Remember The Circle? Then you remember Chloe VEITCH on Reality Gaze today. Chloe, thank you for being... I can't... Okay, full stop. You were our favorite person on Too Hot to Handle. Full stop.
By far.
Aww.
No, truly.
But even though Harry was our favorite person to look at,
Yeah.
you are still our favorite person.
You were still our favorite
thank
person. Even when you kissed Bryce and we went, no.
Do you not like Bryce? Do you not
He's
think we're
fine. He is such we're both in Los Angeles, and he was such a guy who lives in Marina Del Rey on a boat. Like, he is that guy and tells everyone he lives on a boat in Marina Del Rey.
But we didn't like him at first, honestly, because we kind of wrote him off. But we ended up liking him, and we do understand why you kissed him. But I also totally think that if I slept with him on a boat in Marina Del Rey, I would probably have to take an antibiotic a day after.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. I have to tell you that I did where at once I was walking kind of in Beverly Hills area, and I walked and I see this beautiful tall man, and I look up and it's Harry Giles. And I went, Harry. And I said, hi, I'm a fan. I said, yeah, my name's Matt. I'm from Reality Gaze. We covered your show. And he went, not familiar. And he had no idea who I was. So it was very humbling. And I said, can I just take a picture? And that's my Harry story.
Oh, did you get a picture with him?
Yeah,
I did. It was a very
He's
good picture.
very tall.
tall.
He's like nearly 7 foot.
Yeah,
but a boyfriend dick. What are you gonna do? That's what he says. That's what he says.
He's doing the podcast thing too now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is doing the podcasting.
And we're gonna get into that, y'all, because Chloe has a podcast, and that's the majority of what we're gonna talk.
It's called Bangin with Chloe.
Bangin with Chloe VEITCH.
Bangin.
It's on the Forever Dogs Eve podcast network. So that's where you can, and I'm sure you can listen to wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, you could just look up Chloe Bangin with Chloe, and you'll find it.
And it makes sense because I just want to talk a little bit on Too Hot to Handle. You were kind of one of the few people that you really jumped into the experiment of that show. And so, and you really did. You were trying to be good, which was hilarious. But you also, so is this podcast, is Bangin kind of a natural progression for you in that you seem to be authentically looking for like good sex and good love, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Lana suppressed me in the retreat on Too Hot to Handle, and now I'm off of it. I feel like Bangin the podcast is like freedom of speech about sex, and I love it. And I can talk about whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, because we bring on different guests every week, and just talk about the stigmas and stuff to do with sex. And yeah, a lot of stuff that I learned from Too Hot to Handle, I do drag on to the show now and again, because I think it was an experience. Yeah.
I think it's so interesting you talk about that. I'm looking at my notes here. So we actually on our podcast, we talk a lot about sex and our own sex lives, not because it's what the podcast is about, but it's just what we're dealing with of the moment. And I was listening to one part of your podcast, and you're like, yeah, I'm not feeling too well because I'm on my period today.
Yeah.
And you just tell it how it is. I agree. We are believers in just full transparency. And we believe what we talk about is we talk about sex positivity. And that way people feel less shameful about talking about sex. And then it becomes something that is not, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have a lot of hangups about it. And then we all get more comfortable about it together. So that's where we are in it.
And to be honest with you, if any women or men that are listening to this, queefing is normal.
Yes. Preach.
Everyone queefs. And I love it. And I love speaking about it. So that's why that's some of the stigmas that we talk about, because there's so many guys that I've slept with in the past. Like, let's have it right. I love someone to smash my back door within. And talking about it on the podcast with other guests, sometimes they loosen up a little bit and they start telling me their filthy secrets, which is also really interesting, because you know when you've got the celeb on and you're like, oh, how much can I get out of this person? And then you do, and you're like, yes.
Oh yes. Yeah, that's a good Saturday night for me. How much can I get out of this person?
Well, and there's I think for us, for our show, it's been helpful, and I think you're going to do this too, or you're doing this with your show, is that as gay men from the South, of America, it's a different culture than like New York and things like that. And America is a very puritanical country. So we don't talk about sex a lot, much like British. There's properness, there's rules, there's etiquette. And so I think that we were surprised when we talked about our own sex lives, how many women came towards, like I'll never forget one of my proudest Instagram messages of a woman who said, I bought my first vibrator and I'm 50 years old because of your show. So
wow.
I know. I'm like, girl, I had mine at 15. I stole that from the convenience store, and I was looking at pictures of Matthew McConaughey, So did you grow up talking about sex? Was it something you could talk about in your household, or was it something you had to work on?
To be honest with you, I got caught in the boys' toilets when I was in primary school. That's wow. I was young. Like, them producers and casters for Too Hot to Handle did not miss a trick when it came to me, because they were like, you are definitely one of the most horniest people we've met. We're getting you on the show. Obviously it was my first TV show, so I was a bit scared to break the rules, but then as soon as I come off it, went wild.
Yes.
But I've tested negative for everything. I'm clear. I'm in the clear. Had my results back the other day. Woohoo!
Good for you. Get tested regularly, everybody.
Yeah, I love it.
You were talking a lot about, I was listening to the podcast, and I feel like you and Jake, our poodle, might bond about this, is that you regularly recall your exes. So that way you can kind of keep you said keep your count low, or describe this. So how come you're always bringing the exes
your body
back?
Count?
Yeah, so basically there's a thing in the UK where if you meet a guy and you go on a date with him, they always say, what's your body count? Yeah. And the body count is basically how many people you've slept with. And I think that's extremely rude for a man to ask a woman.
100%
agree.
Who cares? Who fucking cares? Because if I was rubbish in bed and I'd only slept with like one or two people, he would be like, oh, she was rubbish in bed.
Exactly.
Or if I'd slept with 100 people and I was amazing and I was confident and I was like liberated, he'd be like, oh, she was a right slag. Like, you can't win. You can't win. So one thing that we spoke about in the podcast was body count. And I love recycling exes, because if I get bored or I don't want my numbers to go up, I'll just ring an ex. It's just so much easier. I
completely support this kind of recycling, because it's also better for the environment. You're not having to text or call new people. You're not having to, and it's so easy just to like, now
you're not using your data. You're not using any of your credit.
No, you're not having to spend extra money to go out on a date. You just call them and they're there. And for me, it's much easier if I'm on an app, just not to have those conversations that you don't have to have that like long 20 minutes of things saying, do you want to come over and bang me? You can just text an ex and say, hey, let's do it like we did last summer, period. Let's twist again like we did last summer. Be here in 10.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's all that happens.
Yeah. And you know what dick you're getting, because sometimes you never know what dick you're going to get, because the pictures always lie.
The pictures always lie. Yeah.
And I don't like, I think, I'm trying to say this without offending anyone.
Oh,
not on our show. You're fine.
I don't like the look of dicks. I really don't like the look of them. And I love them inside me, but I just hate looking at them. Like I could never.
I think a lot of women have said that to me. They don't like the look of dicks. They look like one of my friends said, they look like aliens to people.
Sometimes hairless mole rats. Or there's sometimes I will find some with a really pretty little penis. But occasionally it's more utilitarian. Now, it is kind of like Beauty and the Beast. You do fall in love with them. They may not be attractive, but you like what they are on the inside. So
yeah,
it is kind of that way.
Now I do. Just when I was younger, I was more shallow.
Of course.
I was speaking about this earlier. I think that's why I went on Too Hot, because it's ridiculous. Sorry, I think I cut off a little bit. Someone
That's
tried to
okay. We get you.
We can hear you.
I was speaking about it earlier. Like when I was younger, I was so shallow when it comes to men. And I loved their looks.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care about their morality or like what goals they had or if they'd make a good dad.
Yeah.
Like, are you a criminal? Love it. I'm joking, by the way.
Well, if they're a criminal, chances are they're going to be a little freaky. So as long as you have a safe word, so long as when they're choking you, you can tap out. That's a good helpful hint, you guys. Be somewhere, if they're going to choke you, be able to tap out.
Wow. Jake does have some exes that are incarcerated. So real talk.
I did. One of them is out now. Thank you. The other one is not.
Have you recycled him yet?
No, you know what? He slid into my DMs and wanted to say, "How are you lately?" And I was like, "Post-prison sex, not turning it down." But I might. I think he's going on his like Eat, Pray, Love right now. So he's doing his like, he was in South Africa to do something, and like, so I'm gonna wait till he gets that out of his system and then like hit him up.
Mm-hmm. You let me know how that one goes.
Yes, we will, Chloe.
Oh God.
So I was gonna ask you, like, one of those, you tell a story about, was this another podcast, high-fiving someone after you both had sex.
Oh my gosh.
We need to know, was it a good high five? Was it worth a high five? Or was it just all of a sudden the guy just went high five and you're like, I guess I have to do this?
Honestly, I love talking about previous sex experiences on the podcast because I love the saucy DMs that you get afterwards. Like, as soon as you open up and you're vulnerable, like I'm the rawest version of myself on Bangin, and the responses to that story were just, I wish I could just name them all now, but the high five after having sex with a friend is very awkward. Yeah. There was no eye contact. Oh, there was eye contact. Actually, there was a lot of eye contact, and that's what made it so awkward. Like, we got off the opposite end of the bed. Like, I got off the left, he got off the right, and then it was like a pyramid high five over the bed. And then we were just like, let's never do that again. It was really bad sex.
Oh, that is one of those things where you just go, as soon as they're outside the door, you go, "Ooh, clear myself. That'll never happen again. Woo, that's something to talk about. Never again." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do you do? Like, when you have awkward sex, I've never, luckily, been in the position where I have sex with someone and then I'm like, right, can you leave now? I'm always the needy one. I'm the one that's like, do you want to go to the shop and get a kebab and then put some Netflix on and cuddle?
That is so lovely. I'm just like, I got to get up early. And if you're smart, you start making the getaway ahead of time. Like during the foreplay, you're talking about, or a little bit as you're saying, so what's your day like tomorrow? So you're already laying the groundwork for a getaway.
I'm more like you, Chloe. I like to if it's good, let's like maybe like go get a coffee, or then maybe we'll come back and do it again.
Exactly.
But you don't know if it's worth it. You don't know if it's worth it yet. I'm saying you can always, like, let's say last night, I'll just share a little bit. There was a moment last night, which I had a gentleman caller over, and I'd already started making, I'm a gentleman caller.
That's what he calls them, gentleman callers.
It was a gentleman caller.
And he calls it entertaining.
I was entertaining, like Doris Day, in my apron. So I was already kind of, as I say, making my getaway. I was already kind of saying, what do you do tomorrow? And this is after, and then after the first time, I was kind of like sitting there and I was like, oh, okay. And then, so I start revving it up again, basically. And he is showing interest. And he said, I thought you had something to do a little bit later. You had a big day tomorrow. And I was like, fuck the next day tomorrow. And so sometimes I will go back for double dipping. In general, though, I start making my exit. I'm okay with a little bit of cuddling and talking after, I think. Yeah. But to me, that's more of a relationship thing. But if I'm going to bang, I want to bang and talk a little bit and send them on their way, and then watch Seinfeld after.
It's because Chloe and I are both Pisces. We have a Pisces thing, so we want to just
Pisces.
Yeah.
I'm a Libra. We can cut that shit off.
Yeah. Do you know what? It wasn't until that conversation that I actually now believe in star signs and stuff, because every Pisces I've ever met is just like me, like to a T. And I get on with Cancers really, really, really well. Like Nicole, my best friend's a Cancer. Like most of my friends are Cancer.
Yeah. Wasn't she on the show? Wasn't she on?
She was on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, she was on. Yeah. That was, I can be friends with Cancers. I can't date them. All of my ex-boyfriends are Cancers, and it did not work out. So no more Cancers for me. So my partner now is a Capricorn, and it's worked out, or Sagittarius, and it's worked out much better. So.
See, I'm not up to date with this though. Like, I'm literally the type of girl that will go out in a bar, start speaking to someone, stick my tongue down their throat, go back to theirs, and then I'm like, later on down the line, I'll find out what their star sign is, but then he's already like left me by then.
Yeah.
So I don't have a choice.
It's tricky.
A Scorpio will dick you down good, girl. I'll say that. Oh yes, Scorpios and Pisces. Woo! It's like fire. But you reminded me, like, because you become famous. I mean, not really on Too Hot to Handle, but really like you fucking blew up on The Circle. I think you were second, and like you were fan favorite, and like just really, which was wonderful, because we said on your season of Too Hot to Handle, we're like, she's a star.
She's a star. And
so
that's what we said.
We knew that about you then. You could listen, and we're not just saying that to kiss your ass. No. You could listen to the podcast.
I think just to make that clear, what we love about you and people we consider stars is there's an authenticity there, and it's not something that you're just performing for the camera. You know how to be yourself without trying too hard, and that is you can't teach that. So that you feel grateful that you have that. You have that.
Yeah. Because also a lot of beautiful people that are beautiful are so worried about how they're perceived. And I love that you're gorgeous. And at the same time, you can tell that's not, you like to look nice, but at the end of the day, that's not the biggest priority for you. It's being your real self, which really shines through. No, we see that, but I'm saying that because you're getting hit on by guys all the time. If you can think of one of most women say they hate pickup lines, but has there ever been a pickup line that totally worked on you?
A good panty dropper.
Oh, to be honest with you, I'm just gonna like go back a little bit. So I'm telling you now, everyone thinks this. Everyone thinks Chloe's probably getting so many DMs off guys. It's so dry. It's dry Gandhi's flip-flop. And that is partly the reason why I'm still depressed and unhappy. Like, guys, come on. the fuck going on? Like, I'm sorry. I'm a catch, all right?
Yes.
Agree.
Why not? What's going on? Is there something wrong with me? Is it the accent?
I love your Essex accent.
Maybe they're intimidated.
Yeah.
That's true.
I've looked at some of my DMs, and some of them are really weird.
Yeah. Do you find that guys just want to be your friend or your best mate, or they just want to fuck you? You're like, no, never.
No, never. I mean, I would class myself as like a lad's girl. So someone that will go out with boys to the pub, and like, even though I'm sober, like, I'll still sit there and have banter with everyone. And I've got quite a thick skin when it comes to stuff like that. I'm not like I am a girl's girl, but I'm like a ladette. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's probably why my DMs are so dry, because guys are like, oh God, I don't want to burping and farting around me all the time, because I'm the type of girl, if I need a shit, I'm gonna have a shit.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Because everybody queefs. Or as we said, everyone has, if you're a gay man or a woman, everyone, if you're going to do butt sex, you're going to have a cum fart. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen, Chloe.
I've never had that happen, but
I've heard about it.
Every time someone puts a finger in my bum, I get a bit scared. Even though I like it, I'm like, oh, but what if you get poo on you?
Yeah, you have to, it is something where you have to prepare. It does take dedication to do anal. Like, you have to say, I'm committing to this.
Yeah. And especially if you know someone too, it's just, again, if you are dating someone that's quite endowed, you know that, like, it's a whole fruit thing, what you're eating that day, because you just, thankfully,
really?
there's a lot of Instagram accounts now, and that that have doctors disseminating good, healthy information. Because when Jake and I were young, we're just like we're either at like the gay aisle of the Barnes and Noble or in some alley trying to ask some queen, like, how do you not shit on a dick? Because we didn't know, Wait,
do I put like a bottle of water up my ass? Do I put a water bottle up my ass?
Do I heavy on that shit? We don't know.
I just get a spoon and scoop it.
There you go.
It's like a grapefruit.
Yeah.
But so that's why we love what you're doing, because you're talking about this. I actually know too. I know you're a total queer dear too. I think you need to be a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race UK. I would love that.
Oh my God, don't even. Please.
I'm putting it out there in the universe for you. Because that's my favorite version of Drag Race is UK Drag Race.
Honestly, I've done a show in the UK called Celebrity Hunted, where I had to go on the run for 2 weeks for Stand Up to Cancer. So it was for a really good cause. All the money that we earned, we donated it to charity. And I'd done the show partnered with the Vivian.
Yes. We love her. We love her.
So me and the Vivian, she's actually on tour soon.
Yeah, she's it's airing on the US, but she's on RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars now.
She's on All Stars,
and she's
killing it.
She's kind of like an old, she's not old, but I'm saying she's an older style drag queen. So she's got comedy chops. She's a performer. She's got impressions and looks. It's, my God, we love her.
We love her. Then yes, you tell the Vivian, you be like, hey, these gays are telling me I need to be a judge on, yes.
RuPaul's Drag Race UK.
Yes.
We need to speak to the universe. I'm going to speak to my manager right after and be like, oi.
Yep.
Vivian.
What's the criteria?
You just have to be a gay icon. You are. Don't worry about it.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I think why you are a gay icon, because again, there was so much shame associated with sex where we grew, and for just gay men and gay or queer LGBTQ folk, period. There's so much, especially when you have a lot of religious dogmas saying your sex is not in the Bible, blah, 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 and all this shit. And so I find you'll have a lot of gay listeners that want to listen to you because it helps release the shame that they have about their own sexual practice and sexual selves.
So you're doing good stuff.
Trust
us, even though you're having fun.
Yeah.
Now I take more pride in talking about getting bent over.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh,
It is
you should be prideful when you're sitting there getting banged. You're like, I'm respecting myself right now.
Yes, Chloe, spit roasting is activism. So
it's liberating. Yeah. And do you know what's the saddest thing? I see something the other day, and sometimes I really beat myself up. And I'm sure a lot of us and a lot of people that are listening do as well. And there was this Instagram post that I see, and it was this little girl. She was looking in the mirror, and it was her older self. And her older self was like telling her not naughty names, like horrible names, and saying you're a slag, you're a slut, you're anorexic, you're this, you're that. And then it zooms out, and it's the older girl then looking at her younger self, and she was like, wow, I need to stop speaking to myself like that. And honestly, it just made me think I am going to do whatever makes me happy, because who am I to tell myself that I'm all these names when actually we're only here for a little while? Do you know what I mean? Let's have some bloody fun.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun.
Love it.
Be safe. Wear a condom.
Wear a condom and have.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, let's wrap up with just a couple of Britishisms that
what a beautiful thing you did.
Like, tell us, you've been saying, what is a slag? And I'm saying, bring back slag as a term of empowerment. Say I'm a slag. What is a slag?
I am a slag. Slag is like, I don't know, just someone that loves sex.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
They would in the US, we would call it often, we take this word back, but slut. In the US, we often say slut, she's slutty, he's slutty. But a slag is that kind of derivative. Yeah.
Yeah, but to be honest, in the UK, slag isn't a good word.
It's not.
But it's not, no. It's like, if I was to say to someone, shut up, you slag, they'd be like,
no, it's the same. If we said shut up, if we said, Jane, you ignorant slut or something like that, then that is considered a bad term. Yeah. What about any other terms that you use for sex in England that we don't?
Like what do you say? You either say snog we always think snog, that is kissing. And what about minga? Do you know minga?
A minga?
Yeah. A
minga, yeah. It's like someone that's him is a proper minga.
He's a proper minga. Yeah, those were the ones.
What does minga mean?
It's like tell us.
Minga is like someone that's just really disgusting. It's like, it's such a like someone that's unhygienic.
Yes.
Oh,
gross.
So let's end on I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's also a word called salt, and I really want to hear you guys say it.
Salt.
Salt.
My favorite word. And if I see a guy and I think he's really good looking, I'm like, oh my God, he's a salt.
He's a salt. That's what I was going to ask you. What do you say? So how do you SALT, like salt, but salt?
No, sort. SORT. But
he's a salt. He's a salt. He's a salt.
He's a sort. Oh,
he's a sort. I love it.
So on that note, let's hope we all three can go out there and find a couple of salts, or maybe 3 or 4.
Find some salts tonight. This was Chloe. This was so lovely. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. Tell us where we can find your podcast. Is it Bangin with Chloe? Is that the name? I believe.
Yeah, Bangin with Chloe.
It's Bangin with Chloe V on all socials, TikTok and Instagram. And you can also DM us any of your toxic relationship questions if you want any advice, and we will comfort you and advise you on the podcast. And it's out every Tuesday on all platforms.
Love it. Tell us
where you can Forever Dogs Eve on the Forever. I just want to say on the Forever Dogs Eve podcast network.
And where can we find you on Instagram and all the socials?
You can find me on Chloe VEITCH official on Instagram, and it's Chloe VEITCH on TikTok.
Yay! Thank you so much, Chloe. This has been lovely.
This has been the best podcast ever. I'm not even gonna laugh. You guys.
Break it down now.
We're gonna leave ya.
Too hot to handle. It's DJ Jazzy Poodle.
Fresh Princess, we out. No, literally, we're out.
We're very gay.